which the narrator mentioned that he witnessed Ali radiallahu anhu performing wudu. And while Ali radiallahu anhu was performing the wudu, Ali radiallahu anhu mentioned that this is how I witnessed Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performing the wudu. So رأيت عليا رضي الله عنه توضأ فغسل كفيه ثلاثا فتمضمض واستنشق ثلاثا وغسل وجهه ثلاثا وذراعيه ثلاثا ومسح برأسه وغسل رجليه ثلاثا ثم قال هذا وضوء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So, quick translation is that Ali radiallahu anhu while performing wudu, he first washed his hands 3 times, he rinsed his mouth 3 times, he cleaned his nasal passageways 3 times, he washed his face 3 times, washed his arms 3 times, wiped over his head, made masah, and finally he washed his feet 3 times and mentioned that this is how I witnessed Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performing wudu. So there are many ahadith on this subject matter where different companions radiallahu anhum ajma'in, they give their first-hand testimony that they witnessed Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performing wudu. Some are very short, some ahadith are very short and straight to the point. For example, some companions, they see Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam only performing the fara'id of wudu. Other companions, they witnessed a lengthy wudu of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, meaning steps that went into 3 times, miswak, facing the qibla, not speaking, avoiding a dirty place to perform wudu. All of these things are found in other narrations. So when you combine all of the narrations, all of the ahadith, we will witness that none of those ahadith are conflicting. Meaning they all kind of complement one another. They complement one another. So this is that wudu of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we mentioned earlier this week as well, as a reminder that a modern day water system in each of our homes and the buildings, this did not exist previous to World War I, maybe. Pre-revolution, industrial revolution, the water system in our house, the sewer system, the electrical system, the mechanical system, they did not exist. So before the industrial revolution, even modern societies, what did they have to do? They had to go to something called the outhouse. The outhouse was separate from their house. And in order to even wash their dishes, they had to carry a bucket or some sort of utensil. So this was also in America, not only from our respective countries, but pre-industrial revolution, this was the method. So in that method, water conservation was always a priority, water conservation. Because how many times are you going to go fetch a bucket of water to come back to do what you have to do, your chores and items? Nowadays we are all of us are very privileged. We're almost spoiled. We're spoiled to such an extent that when we wake up in the morning and we just leave the tap on, the water tap, the water will continuously run until we shut it off. So when we're talking about the wudu of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we can appreciate the fact that Islam was introduced in a desert. What a coincidence. Islam being introduced in a desert, we know the scarcity of water in a desert. And if someone never knew that Islam was introduced in a desert, will think that maybe Islam was introduced around a large body of water, because we have to make istinja, we have to make ghusl, we have to perform wudu. Water is just being used over and over and over again. Muslims, one might assume that Muslims waste a lot of water, but that is not the case. Islam, again, was introduced in a desert where water is very scarce, and we mentioned earlier this week that we looked and studied at the amount of water Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used for wudu. It was less than 1 liter of water, 750 ml. If we ever look that up, 750 ml is less than a liter. And on average, there was a study done, on average, around the world, how much water are Muslims using for wudu? It's anywhere from 6 liters to 12 liters for wudu. 6 to 12 liters of water is being used for wudu on a daily basis, 5 times a day. And we can just only imagine how much water we use for ghusl when we have to take a shower. So all of this is being said because the next hadith will give us that appreciation that once Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam seen Sa'ad radiallahu anhu perform wudu, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed by Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, and he was in the middle of a running water type of river, a flowing river. So مر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بسعد وهو يتوضأ فقال ما هذا الصرف يا سعد؟ قال أفي الوضوء صرف؟ قال نعم وإن كنت على نهر جاري. Or rather, Sa'ad radiallahu anhu was not in the middle of a flowing river, but Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam once, when he witnessed Sa'ad radiallahu anhu using too much water for wudu, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam inquired and asked Sa'ad radiallahu anhu that, what's this extravagance, ya Sa'ad? And Sa'ad radiallahu anhu was a bit confused at the question, and Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, he wanted further clarification from Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that, Ya Rasulullah, even in wudu there's extravagance? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, yes, even in wudu there's extravagance if you use more than what's necessary, even if you're standing in the middle of a flowing river. So right here, this is a learning opportunity for Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, and by extension, the entire ummah. Sa'ad radiallahu anhu has the thinking that if I'm doing a virtuous act, then the more I use, there's no harm in using a lot of water. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sort of eliminated that assumption that even in good things, virtuous things such as wudu, there's extravagance if we're using more than what's necessary. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is teaching us here that we should not be careless in building these bad habits of waste. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam discouraged wasting water. Finally, since we're on the topic of wudu, there is also where many people are, unfortunately, they face a doubt in wudu. So how does it go with extravagance and doubt? Sometimes people are performing wudu, and while they're performing wudu, they have a doubt. Shaitan is playing mind games with them that maybe what you're washing is still dry. For example, you're washing your face, and Shaitan may whisper that you left a spot dry. Or while you're washing your arms, Shaitan again will use waswasa to his advantage by saying maybe you left a spot dry on your arm. So now a person is washing their face more than 3 times. Or a person is washing their arms more than 3 times. Water is being wasted. Shaitan is taking advantage of their waswasa and their doubt. And now water is being wasted, and a person is going beyond the limit of sunnah. Now is going into a level of karah, undesirable. So even in wudu, the hadith goes specifically in regards to passing gas, to how to eliminate doubt When a person is doubtful that, even if a person sometimes feels some bubbles in their stomach, everyone can relate. You can hear your stomach growling. So is that the growling of hunger, or is it the growling of passing wind? So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us an explanation how to eliminate doubt in us in wudu, and try and eliminate doubt altogether. إذا وجد أحدكم في بطنه شيئا فأشكل عليه أخرج منه شيئا لا فلا يخرجن من المسجد حتى يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا. This is a beautiful way how Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is teaching us how Islam is a complete way of life and how to deal with psychological and mental challenges. So when a person feels something in their stomach and they're confused whether something was discharged or not, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that you don't need to exit the masjid to perform wudu unless you hear a sound or you perceive the smell. Of course, we know that there are plus minus 8 things that break wudu, since we're on the subject of wudu. One of those being, if wind is passed, it of course nullifies one's wudu. But just suspicion does not nullify one's wudu. If a person is being suspicious of themselves, that did I pass wind or not, suspicion does not break wudu. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi mentions that the mention of sound or smell in this hadith means that there is confirmation. A person has a confirmation in their mind that definitely I have passed wind. So these are rules of fiqh. At times, fiqh is very interesting, and other times fiqh to many appears to be very dry, and I don't want to say but boring. But fiqh really opens the doors to other areas of study. So fiqh is a very vast subject matter, and it's highly encouraged to study it from someone who is qualified. Why? Because if somebody read this hadith, that you have to hear it or smell it. So now somebody who's studying on their own or just Googled it, they might just assume to themselves how to kind of find loopholes in fiqh. And all of us know that we're living in such a day and age that there are loophole experts everywhere. Loophole experts everywhere, and that is why it's highly encouraged that fiqh be studied by someone who is experienced, knowledgeable, qualified. The system that we have in place for generation to generation is that I learned it from my teacher learned it from his teacher, and it goes all the way back to great scholars of the past, directly back to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That is how we trace our authenticity back in our religion. And just in our modern day and age, we're facing a new dilemma. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed that fitna. But we also mentioned this in the past, that how is it possible that something good, too much of a good thing can become detrimental? So even though Google is a beautiful aid and tool, we should not be exclusively depending on Google as an exclusive tool. Just like how we won't depend on Google for our medical needs or law or other categories, accounting in our life. Similarly, we should not be exclusively depending on these tools. We should also seek professional advice, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll continue with this book of Kitab al-Tahara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq.